Good morning, good afternoon.
Super. So yeah, we're starting. Hi, everyone. So thank you very much, first of all, for joining us today. Today we are going to look at the cybersecurity challenge from both sides. First, we will show how telecom attacks actually work. And second, we will answer the important question. How do we build security operations in a way that we can anticipate these threats, respond quickly, and importantly, adapt on the go as attacks continue to evolve as well? So this is what we have been working on together with Telkomsel and our partners in the Telco IGs project. And before we start, maybe a quick round of introduction. Shalen, please, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Dimitri. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us in this webinar. Introduce myself. I am Soleh from Telkomsel, cybersecurity leader that more than 8 years of experience in autonomous telco security transformation. So we will discuss more about how to automate the security operation processes later in this webinar together with Dimitri. So thank you. I will explain more about our solution later. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, and my name is Dmitry. I'm CTO at SecurityGen, and I have been working in telecom and cybersecurity for quite a while. So yeah, I'll take you through the attack side of the story, and then Shalen will show you how we can respond and defend against these threats. So to start with, in the past, telecom attacks often looked very much direct. An attacker would exploit a very much specific vulnerability in order to achieve a specific result. But what we see today is that this dynamic is actually changing. And more and more attacks, they evolve. They try to exploit different technology. It's very much coordinated operations. Attackers, they may combine legacy technologies, modern protocol exploitation, network side techniques, SIEM-based methods, all together in the same attack. And frequently, they use very much distributed infrastructure to keep traffic deliberately very much low profile that helps them to remain undetected. So let's take a look at the case study that gives us a very good example of this shift. This case is from Citizen Lab Research and related article called The Bad Connection. What started initially as an investigation into suspicious network activity expanded into much broader picture of how surveillance works. So the researchers identified two bad actors, and they found that these attackers, they were operating through the infrastructure associated across 17 different countries, while targets were primarily in 9 regions. And this distributed setup, combined with the very smart defense evasion techniques, probably helped these attackers to remain undetected for more than 3 years in total. Despite the scale and duration of this activity, the actors never were actually stopped. So let's take a look at why the location tracking is actually so sensitive. The thing is that location data becomes valuable intelligence when it is collected repeatedly, because it's not just a single point on the map. With every query, attacker can start building the movement behaviors. They can identify home, office locations, visit to sensitive sites, potentially even meetings with other people. I would say that for any kind of subscriber, this is already a serious privacy issue. But imagine for executives, maybe government officials, journalists, it can be quite a threat. And the challenge is that the victim's exposure doesn't stop at location only, because by exploiting different pieces of the mobile ecosystem, attackers can also locate and collect information about IP, device subscriber identifiers, subscriber identifiers like IMSI. You probably heard about the IMSI catchers. Depending on the technique, hackers can also intercept SMS, voice, data, which in turn can support very much targeted spyware delivery, very much high precise social engineering, or any kind of the follow-up activity. So I would say that the attacker's capabilities, they're actually quite broad. And compromising the mobile can provide a very strong foundation for much more comprehensive attack. So now, in order to understand this a little bit better, I will probably first share a little bit what is signaling in mobile network. So in simple terms, signaling is the control communication inside and between mobile networks. So every time you make a call or use mobile data, signaling is working in the background. It is signaling what tells the network whether their services should be provided to you and how the services should be handled. So one of the important signaling protocols called SS7. It was designed many, many years ago and became the critical part of the 2G and 3G networks. Pretty much outdated today, but still present because operators have to support this legacy technology and for backward compatibility reasons. Another protocol is called Diameter. It is newer. It is widely used today in LTE and 5G networks. And in general, these are just two protocols, but there are many other signaling protocols in mobile infrastructure. But these SS7 and Diameter gives us a very good example what attackers can do with signaling. So let's take a look at how these protocols were actually abused in case of Citizen Lab research. So one of the actors was identified as STA1, and their activity was observed pretty much starting November 2022. They used both SS7 and Diameter protocols. They changed sources over time, attack sources, I mean. They targeted subscribers across multiple countries. And this probably what made them difficult to detect, because from the perspective of individual mobile operator serving these subscribers, the activity often looked like a series of separate, maybe unrelated events coming from different sources. And rather than just a single coordinated campaign, so it's hard to do this kind of the correlation. Let me show you a little bit more how this worked in detail. So the attackers, they could start with as little as someone's phone number, and that's it. And from there, they would try to resolve the identity of subscriber, such as IMSI. And then they would probably attempt to go straight forward and retrieve the subscriber location right from the network using the SS7 messages. If and when that failed, perhaps because the operator had some defenses in place, hackers, they could pivot. They tried different route, different source, or even different protocol like Diameter. And if one of these methods worked, actually, they could continue exploiting the same path, or they can go back and retry the same SS7, for instance, but a different signaling message, effectively giving a network a different reason to return similar information. And throughout the entire process, they were also spoofing and changing their apparent origin. So I would say it was fairly sophisticated way because this adaptive sequence was designed specifically to keep trying different methods, different paths until something works. And we reproduced this attack in our lab. This is rather simple lab environment. We have several pieces of mobile infrastructure here. So on one side, we have piece of LTE, basically 4G network using Diameter. We also have the piece of the legacy infrastructure related to 2G and 3G, which is handled by the SS7 signaling. We also have our subscriber who will be the victim, and we also have the external hacker. In this case, the attacker is represented by some external entity, probably somewhere in roaming or interconnect. This is very similar setup to what you can actually see in the real mobile network. So now let's see how this looks in practice. So here we have the attacker's laptop, and we also have a Wireshark window where the signaling messages will be collected, captured, so in the background, so we can review it a bit later. And what's happening right now is that we start the attack script with, once again, just one input, subscriber phone number. And the first, here it is, you can see it here. And the first thing that script does, it actually tries to check whether the target network is reachable here. And once the reachability is confirmed, it starts to try to resolve the subscriber IMSI. It's not that easy because at this point we identified that there is a so-called SMS home routing is enabled in the network. I would say the rough analogy, it's like network address translation. When it is enabled, it hides some of the internal network information from the external world. So attacker would try several times different techniques in order to bypass the home routing. And once he will succeed, he will actually get the IMSI. And then from there, the attacker continue using diameter. The script requests the location information and successfully retrieves the LTE cell identity. Here it is. Well, as you can see, this is essentially the first run of the attack. Starting with just a phone number, it takes roughly, I don't know, maybe 40 seconds to obtain the subscriber identity and location. And here in the Wireshark, we can also see the signaling exchanged. This is actually how it appeared in raw in network. This is the place where the attacker obtained the IMSI. And this is a different message where attacker obtained the network response containing cell ID, which can be translated into location on the map. So this is it, how quickly the whole chain can be executed. Now, if executed in sequence, time after time, one after another, this gives the complete tracking capability. So the attackers described in the Citizen Lab investigation were doing pretty much something similar. And what allowed them to stay undetected for quite some time is probably that they kept changing how the attack looked like. They used different protocols and they switched between them. They continuously changed the apparent source of traffic. So they used different routes as well to get to the target network. And constantly, they also modified different parameters and traffic characteristics so that they would not leave one consistent footprint that could be easily recognized and then tracked. So just before I finish my part and pass the word over to Shalen, I'd like to zoom out a little bit to say that the example we use today with SO7 and diameter, this is just one example of many. But what's happening to telecom networks today is that they're becoming more software-defined, API-driven, AI automated, obviously, and much more interconnected. We have private networks, neutral host environments, non-terrestrial networks these days, and all providing connectivity for people, enterprises, and industrial systems. All of this connectivity can become part of the potential attack path. And we have MITRE FIGHT, a very useful framework for known attack tactics, techniques, and procedures targeting 5G specifically. Recently, researchers used the AI-assisted analysis in order to identify 84 new vulnerabilities across LTE and 5G implementations. And this shows that new tools make this kind of research possible at much greater scale. So the research is definitely good, but the same applies to attacks. And this is why security operations have to become more adaptive and more automated as well. And this is exactly what brings us to the telco edges. How to identify and potentially even predict the threat, find the proper response, and continuously improve. So this is it. on my side. Shailen, please, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Dimitri. My screen already showed.
Yes, we can see it full screen. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us in this webinar. So today I would like to introduce Telco Aegis, autonomous ecosystem for generative intelligence and security. That already explained by Dimitri previously that telecom operator now are facing a growing challenge. Yeah, maybe attacker are evolving faster than ever. We see advanced precision threat, not only signaling threat, frauds, compliance risks. I will screen. Yeah, not only signaling attack like Dimitri mentioned before, explained before, but also telecom operator now facing many kind of potential attack like APT attack, advanced precision threat attacks, like the UNC 3886 that attacked the Singapore operator previously. And we see that at the same time, many security operation today still struggle, yeah, with the slow response times, alerts overloads and noise, fragmented tools, and silo intelligence. And also, it's still lack of relevant protection of teleco-specific threat. In the simple term, attacker operates at machine speed while defender are still operating at human speed. This creates critical gaps. Traditional security solutions generate more alerts, more dashboard, more complexity. Security teams spend significant time correlating information across the multiple platform before they can even begin responding. This is where Telco Aegis comes in. Our vision is simple: move telecom security from reactive operation to autonomous protection. Telco Aegis creates a unified intelligence layer that bring together information coming from multiple CSV, threat intelligence provider, CTI, coming from also multi-standard, industry standard like GSMA and Strau. And also we combine together, work together with the multi-partner or ecosystem partner. Instead of working in silo, intelligence becomes correlated, enriched, and actionable. At the core of the Telco Aegis is an AI-powered autonomous security engine that follow a continuous security lifecycle. We adopt the DevOps principle also. First, detect. Telco Aegis continuously collect and correlated threat intelligence, security event and indicator, and network telemetry that's coming from the multi resources. Second, validates. Agentic AI will evaluate risk, verifies threats, and determine the most appropriate response based on the telecom specific context. Third, respond. Through orchestration and automation, protection action can be executed automatically across integrated security and network platform. And finally, learns. Every incident, response, and outcome become part of continuous improving knowledge base, making the system smarter over time. The result is faster detection, faster response, reduce operational complexity, and improve resilience. But what makes Aegis unique is not only the technology, it is the collaboration. The solution bring together telecom operators, technology partner, security expert and industry standard into a shared ecosystem that enable collective defense and share intelligence. Yeah, together we are demonstrating how autonomous security can help protect telecom operator, enterprises, and critical national infrastructure against the next generation of cyber threat. Our goal is simple. We handle the threat so operators can focus on running in the network. Yeah, we also adopt the DevOps principle that we not only collect in one view, but we collect all of data telemetry that's coming from the network level protection, perimeter protection, endpoint protection, CTNA, and this is the interesting things. Before we validate this attack may be happen in our network or not, and our security perimeter protection are already working properly or not, we use BAS. We introduce the BAS solution also in this solution together in one solution. BAS breach and attack simulation can later validate whether our perimeter protection layer already work properly or not. So this is the solution later. Not only we we work silo in each part, but we bring together in one end-to-end protection cycles. This is the detail how the solution work. So telco IGs later will be collecting many kind of resources that coming not only from the internal data telemetry, but also from the external, like the global standard, GSMA, I2, anything, global standard, threat like the CTI provider, threat intelligence, we use also like the GSMA, TISAC or MCKB. This is the interesting things also. We collecting the information also from other CSV regarding to the security incident report about not the data privacy, but this is about the incident or attack TTPs. We collect information also from many t-shirts, internal knowledge like the guideline, policy, playbooks, and others. And also, this is the interesting thing. Also, we combine many ecosystem partner that have specific technologies that can bring together in one solution. Like yeah, maybe there are many partner, there are many vendor in security right today. Huawei, Ericsson, SecurityGen, and others, we can combine together the information about the security part in this AI agent. Later, AI agent will analyze, will give the recommendation, and will make the automation respond to the perimeter security devices. Later, I will show the demo and give the new recommendation or new governance and risk compliance document to the continuous improving or continuous learning. So from the solution, we can combine together end-to-end continuous learning loop, attack simulation validation, detect and analyze, decide, respond, learn, update, and test deploy in one solution. So the benefit later will be reduce the risk and reduce the faster detection and response. This is the idea coming from this is the one we adopt. We adopt the DevOps principal processes beginning from monitoring, collecting any data telemetry that's coming from internal and external. And also from that data, the AI agent will analyze and and give the recommendation whether if the new threat detected, it will be impacted in our network or not. If it is possibly impacted in our network, it will create the new rule detection and mitigation. But before we deploy this rule in the live network in perimeter devices, we test first with using with bus, and later we deploy safely in our network, in the live network, and the cycle will be continuously every time, not not only not stop within the blocking mitigation, but it can be continuously learning for the next attack mitigation action. This is the solution that I explained before. We combine many technology partner specialization in security telco security specific, like SecurityGen provide the solution for the IDS, for the breach attack simulation, and also for the firewall signaling. Like the Ericsson, we working together with Ericsson also, that provide security configuration management for analyze and validate every configuration that's in place in our devices in the telco. And also Huawei also, we work with Huawei that they provide the GI firewall for the blocking the APT attacks. And we working together with Tritonic to build our AI agent and Quick to provide the model contact protocol that will be collaborate in each solution data to our AI agent. This is the important thing also about the knowledge management part. So we not only collect the internal, but also can collect the external knowledge management about the security, like the GSMA, MESP, OpenCTI, T-shirt, and also inter CSV knowledge management sharing. So the output later I will show the dashboard. In one dashboard, we can detect, we can create ticketing automatically, we can mitigate the attack in the real time. So in this solution, Telco Edges already perform in the TM forum event also. So we bring the two sample address use cases. Why these two use cases is chosen? But like the Dimitri explained before, the signaling attack today is evolving also, not only for the SA7 diameter and maybe later for the GTP also. The second, not only from the signaling attack part, because signaling attack is properly coming from the roaming or interconnect network, right? So we also bring the solution to detect and mitigate the attack that coming from the internet broadband network also, like APT UNC 3886 attack detection, simulation, and recommendation. So you can see that the brain is the AI agent that collecting many kind information resources from the devices, internal and external. Later, the AI agent will analyze and instruct the bus to do the attack and simulation whether our perimeter devices already blocked or not regarding that attacks. If still not or bypass the firewall, it will instruct the firewall to create the new rule for the mitigation action, and later the agent will will give the full recommendation and full conclusion that This attack already blocked by our perimeter security protection completely. So this is the end-to-end process within the agentic AI solution. We spirit in its agent the coming starting from detection, creation, ticketing automatically, analyze and recommendation, rule development, simulation and validation, and resolution. This each agentic layer will be communicate each other to build one flow until starting from detection until the resolution part. So okay, we more deep again about in its use case. The use case one is about APT UNC 3. It's attack detection, simulation, and auto recommendation. So this is the detail. You can see that this AI agent will consume many kind data telemetry that coming from many devices, and also it collecting the knowledge from the external also. It can be from the CTI, inter-CSV, or web scraping, maybe it, or other resources we can combine together to make the analyze and recommendation letter will be more valid. And later, after that, the AI agent will instruct the bus to make sure to do the simulation attack, to make sure the attack already blocked by our firewall or not, and later will be give the recommendation action. Yeah, maybe we can look more deep about the UNC 3886 detection, simulation, and recommendation. So we can see this solution can detect the UNC 3886 attack, starting from the detection until the analyze and give the recommendation action, and later not only stop with the give recommendation action, but it will do the validation and will be instruct the bus to create the attack simulation toward our security perimeter devices. And later, if already completed and blocked the attack, it can be closed the ticket. This is the use case one. Use case two, more interesting again about the subscriber location tracking attack via SS7 protocol. Yeah, I just like I explained before. So this agent will collecting many kind of data telemetry coming from internal and external, and later will be instruct same with the use case one will be instruct the bus to make sure that our signaling firewall already blocked or not. That's attack. If the attack still can be happen, later AI agent will instruct the signaling firewall to create the new rule mitigation, and later not stop on that step, but agentic AI later will be instruct again was to do the retest and simulation attack regarding this attack. Yeah, maybe we can look like the detail dashboard for the SS7 location tracking detection, simulation, and auto mitigation. Yeah, we can see that the solution can detect the attacker coming from which GT, the source GT, and will target what target to the which MSS yet or IMSIS. So later this AI agent will be analyzed and give the recommendation. And if the security perimeter device is not yet blocked that attack, the AI agent will instruct the firewall to create the new rule blocking, not stop in that step. Later, AI agent will instruct again BUS to do the simulation attack to our signaling firewall to make sure that the new rules already work properly to protect, to mitigate the attack. After the simulation validation completed, it will show in the dashboard that any attack mechanism already secured and already blocked. And later, it can be closed the ticket. Okay. So what benefit, why this solution is very important for telco operators today? So the maybe for the BAU, for the day-to-day operational process, it will reduce the MTTD and MTTR, of course, because it can be reduced because previously the attack is analyzed by human, and it can be helped by AI agent to analyze and give the recommendation. And also it can be reduce the false positive. Why? Because before we uh, before we deploy the uh, rule mitigation to the live network, we will test first whether the rule is already work properly, or can can protect can mitigate the attack or not. So the another interesting things, it will establish a blueprint for a collective immune system where CSV can share anonymized threat intelligence to immunize the entire global ecosystem. So the each CSV not working silos again. We can work together to protect the global ecosystem telco network. So, what is the conclusion? Conclusion for this solution? The gap is closed. The proof is real. Agentic AI is not the future of telecom security. It's the present. Because the threat is global, the response must be too. Global federated threat knowledge base is the key. The solution ready, proven, and expanding. The global federated threat knowledge base start with you. So I invite other CSV or other telecom expert to join us in the maybe in the next year to join for the phase two development and deployment this solution for more smarter than previously. Thank you. This is the whole team. So we work together not only Telkomsel, but we combine with working together with another telco CSV teams like from STC, Singtel, Telin, and others. We combine with another telco ecosystem partner also regarding the security specialization. Thank you. Maybe that's it from me. Go back to you, Dimitri.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Shalan. If you can go back maybe 2 slides, you have a QR code, I think, on your
Yes.
slide. And everyone, please feel free to use this QR code in order to get to the page describing this project in more details. And once again, Shalan, thank you very much for this presentation.
Thank you.
Now, Ridi, our host, please help us to navigate through the questions. We have some of the questions in the chat, in the Q&A section, as well as questions previously raised during the live conference in Copenhagen earlier this year. So let's address them all one by one, please.
Okay, so the first question we have is sometimes we find publicly available services offering mobile subscriber location tracking, even though these services are not authorized by the mobile operator. Can the telco Aegis solution detect and isolate the hidden channel used by this kind of service?
Sure, and I think this goes to you. This is basically what
Yeah,
you
yeah,
just described. Yeah.
that's the interesting
Yeah.
question. So, Telco Aegis, yeah, the key for the solution is not the technologies, but it's collaboration. So we work together with another CSV to share their threat intelligence also to the solution. Is the number one. And number two, we collect many sources coming from many CTI provider also. We can collect not only from GSMA, maybe we can collect another resources like meter, fight, and etc. And yeah, we still in the solution not stopping for the mitigating the attack, but it will continuously learning to make the solution smarter than previously, and will maybe the knowledge base about previous incident will be kept in the knowledge management system to make to help the decision for the detection later more valid and more more good. Yeah, maybe
Thank you.
that from me.
Thank you. Yeah,
Thank you.
I think all noted. Thanks much. Ridi, over to you, please. Next one.
The next question we have is in telecom security, mobile phones cannot always distinguish between a legitimate BTS and a fake BTS. This is one of the reasons users can be exposed to SMS blasting and phishing attacks. Does Telco Aegis provide any capability to detect or mitigate this kind of threat?
Maybe I can address this quickly. The thing is, in general, when it is like SMS Blaster, which is completely out of scope of the mobile network, and it is super isolated, it will be hard to detect. But if the subscriber in general is served by the specific mobile network, there is a certain level of telemetry which can be collected in a centralized manner in order to spot this kind of suspicious activity. For instance, some kind of suspicious movements, registrations in the networks. And this is what actually we've seen in some examples already in networks implemented where mobile network operators and security operation centers successfully address the issue of IMSI catchers by collecting telemetry from the ground, analyzing this. And yeah, actually, then you need to have kind of, as they say, boots on the ground in order to catch the bad actors. So it is absolutely doable. This use case was not covered during the proof of that we shared today. But in general, this is exactly the direction. Yeah, to attach more sources of telemetry in order to be able to cover all the possible tactics, techniques, all that stuff.
Okay, thank you. The next question we have are the feedback questions from the judges. So, what does autonomous telecom security actually look like in practice for a CSP?
Yeah, maybe I can answer that question. Yeah, in practice, autonomous security takes the form of a zero touch SOC that shifts operators from reactive to proactive, right? When the system detects an anomaly such as SS7 location tracking before, instead of merely sending an alert to human analyze, which can take days to process. Aegis executes a closed-loop cycle, detecting the threat, assessing the risk, creating a blocking rule, validating it automatically in the sandbox or maybe the safe network, and deploying it directly to the firewall or perimeter security devices within minutes. This significantly reduce manual operational effort and slashes response time or MTTR.
Super. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question is why a multi-agent AI approach rather than a single AI model?
This is a little bit more technical, but in a nutshell, the thing is that if we have a complex task like detection, analysis, validation, response, policy enforcement, and God knows how many more under the hood, it is actually much more efficient when there are different capabilities assigned to different agents. So they all work together on a separate small piece of task. All of this is actually well coordinated to work towards the same goal, but just slicing up into the multiple tasks addressed by multiple agents working with the different models under the hood is simply much more efficient rather than to have a giant brain trying to operate it all from the kind of single source. It's just like
Yeah,
architecturally, this is more correct way. Yeah.
yeah. Maybe this approach also enables the segregation of duties, right? Explainable reasoning, explainable AI, and prevent the vendor lock-in as each agent can interact independently with the various system.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you. What is the biggest challenge in taking Aegis from a Catalyst environment into production at an operator scale?
Yeah, good question. Based on architectural evaluation from the judges previously, the biggest challenge is proving the safety of autonomous action within highly distributed and diverse operator environment, right? Specifically, the challenge involve handling state synchronization of the federated knowledge vault in near real time across multiple CSVs, and ensuring that the thread signature imported from one operator do not trigger false positive blocks when applied to the local configuration context of another protocol, another operator.
Okay, thank you. We have a last question. How can CSP safely share threat intelligence without creating new security or privacy risks?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Telco Aegis pioneers a collective immune system through a federated intelligence layer. Operators do not share sensitive network topology data or maybe customer personally identifiable information PII. Instead, they only share the anonymized threat signature such as hacking pattern, zero-day exploit, TTPs. This enable a threat attacking one operator to be instantly recognized and mitigated by other operator in the ecosystem, while strictly complying with national data sovereignty and privacy regulation. Maybe from you, Dimitri.
Okay, next question is how does Aegis work with legacy infrastructure and existing security investments?
Oh, okay. Yeah, Aegis solve the issues of legacy infrastructure by decoupling the intelligence layer from the enforcement layer. Built in alignment with the TM Forum ODA, Open Digital Architecture, and leveraging open APIs such as TMF 630 or TMF other TMF architecture. Aegis acts as an orchestration layer that translates AI security intent into universal commands. This allows CSV to integrate various multi-vendor security appliance and legacy infrastructure without requiring massive rip and replace overhaul.
Thank you. Anything you would like to add, Dimitri?
Well, I would say when it comes to the legacy infrastructure, once again, the objective is not to replace at all. The idea is that all the available security controls must be used, utilized as the enforcement point, as the telemetry sources. It should all work together. So there is absolutely no reason to replace something which is still useful, unless this is really not needed anymore. So it's like purely business objectives, I would say, to make it balanced. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. We're done with the question session. So thank you for joining us. Please note that it's a recorded session and you will receive the recording after the webinar ends.
Rita, I think there are some few questions, but if they are a little bit technical and requires detailed explanation, maybe we can pick them up and answer later in the follow-up LinkedIn posts, for instance, right? So that, guys, please follow us and Shalane on LinkedIn, and we will make sure that we will respond to all of this one by one. Yeah, hopefully this was useful to you. Thank you very much for joining us. Shalane,
Thank you very much
for your
for joining
presentation.
us. Thank
Cheers.
you.
And we will share the recording and all the materials quite soon, maybe even later today, tomorrow the latest. So yeah, thank you much. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.